Hi, I'm here with Lexi Donarski, and I need to start by asking you about your Polish heritage because you clearly have a Polish surname. So, what's the line, the
Yeah, my
bloodline?
dad's dad, so my grandpa on my dad's side is Polish, so that would make me a quarter Polish, I believe. But
Okay.
yes, definitely have Polish heritage.
Okay. And were you ever in Poland?
I have never been, no.
Okay. Any plans?
Hopefully one day. Not
Okay.
nothing scheduled yet, but hopefully eventually I'll make it there.
Okay, because you will be playing in a country that's actually quite close to Poland, maybe when it comes to a certain there's this saying in Polish about that country, but we'll get to that later. So maybe let's not get there now. I want to so the first question I have, like the actual question is, do you know how to be safe and have fun while cooking? I'm asking you because the Lacrosse Tribune followed your learning experience at age 3 when you were learning to cook. So, what were your cooking abilities then, and what are they now?
Yeah, I would say my mom signed me up for a class at the local YMCA, which is where that cooking class took place. Over the years, we get so much food given to us in college, so I don't have to cook much, but I can when I need to.
Okay, and what's your dish, like your go-to dish that you
Oh
prepare
gosh.
for friends or family?
Oh, I would say some type of pasta or like tacos are super easy to make for a big group.
Okay, okay. So typical Polish dishes. Yeah, you can see the Polish
Yeah, for
heritage
sure.
here. Yeah, yeah. The famous Polish tacos. Yeah. Okay. And at age 6, you took part in a Hawaiian beach party, like combining a hula hoop with a hula skirt. So how did you become the local go-to girl for local newspaper stories? Because I found about both of those things when preparing for this talk.
Yeah, I would say I was just involved in so many different clubs and activities that I was always out and about in the area. I don't know. I would way rather be busy and doing a lot of things. So I feel like that started at a young age for sure.
Okay. And they always like, well, not always, because those were just two stories, but they sort of seem to always pick you out from the crowd, right? For a photo. That must have been nice when you were a kid and like getting the attention, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then I mean, as you progress and get older, it's more about things you accomplish or if you have a good game or something that would make it in the paper.
Okay, okay. And when did basketball enter your life?
Since literally the day I was born, most of my baby pictures have basketballs in them. Both my parents played in college, so it's kind of been ingrained in me for as long as I can remember.
Okay. And when was the first time that you knew you were actually good at basketball?
Gosh, I would say sometime in like middle school or high school, probably. So, like 13 years old, maybe.
Okay. That's interesting because at age 14, before playing a single high school game, you were already getting recruited by Iowa State. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so how did that come about and why did you decide to commit so early?
Yeah, we have been fans of Iowa State for a long time. We've known many players, more so on the men's side, but a couple on the women's side that played there. And the atmosphere is just something that everyone wants to play in front of. Like they're always top three in attendance every year for women's basketball. So I've been going to games my whole life. I'd attended their elite camp starting in probably seventh grade, maybe. So I had played in front of the coaches for a couple years. And yeah, ultimately, I knew that I wanted to go there because I wanted to be a part of the program and I wanted to play in front of that awesome fan base.
Okay. And why not Wisconsin since it was your home state?
Yeah, I mean, most of my life we had been going to Iowa State games because we knew more players that played at Iowa State than at Wisconsin.
Okay.
We still would go to some Wisconsin games, but Ames is only an hour and a half further drive for us. So it wasn't too bad.
Okay. And you enter high school already a recruited player. So those are pretty like big shoes to fill, right? So I want to ask you about the Aquinas Blue Goals and your time playing there.
Yeah. Yeah, so my dad was the coach. He took over the program when I was in seventh grade, so 2 years before I got to high school, and he's still coaching currently. So he's been doing it for a while. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of success. We won all four conference titles. We won a couple of state championships, and those are some of the best years and best memories with your friends when
I'm
you get
sorry.
to. What'd you say?
No,
Oh
I'm sorry for my dogs.
no, you're
Because
good.
they, yeah, go on. Sorry.
Those were some of the best years and the most fun to be able to spend with all your friends when you're playing multiple sports together and all of that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay. Okay. And apart from playing basketball, you've also played volleyball. When did you start playing volleyball? And why
Yeah,
did you
I
start playing volleyball?
I did pretty much every sport you can think of growing up, but I also really loved volleyball. In high school, I also ran track too, but I loved volleyball a lot, and I think that the decision to choose a sport for college would have been more difficult if I wouldn't have committed so early. But basketball has always had a little edge up on volleyball for me, but I do miss it. I wish I could still play a little bit, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay. Did any of the things that you've learned when playing volleyball actually become useful when you played basketball?
Definitely some of the teamwork stuff, and I would say the one of the biggest benefits would be the cross training with all of the jumping and approaches and stuff. It's really good for like sprint work and jumps, which definitely translates to basketball.
Okay. Okay. But basketball was just your first love and you had to stick with basketball, right? Okay, so I
Yes, it
want to ask
was.
you about what do you remember most about the 3 years that you've spent at Iowa State?
Oh gosh, a lot of things. I would say one of the most memorable things was when we won the Big 12 championship tournament. It was so much fun. The group of girls we had that year was so much fun to be around, and to win that many games and that many days in a row is really hard to do playing against good teams. So I think the Big 12 championship would be my best memory from Iowa State.
Okay, okay. So I'm gonna phrase this question kind of uh, well, okay, I'm just gonna ask it. Uh, if Iowa State was so great, why did you decide to transfer to UNC after 3 years?
Yeah, there were different reasons. One of them was that I was graduating. I ended up graduating in 3 years, and then I started my 2 year master's program, and I wanted to get my MBA, and that was not an opportunity at Iowa State. Another one, I was looking for. I wanted to move out of the Midwest. I was ready for change and just to experience something new. But definitely one of the biggest reasons was school because I knew that I had a great opportunity to get my 2 year master's at a great business school like North Carolina.
Okay, okay. And why did you pick UNC? Were there any others? Did any other schools stand a chance?
Yes, I took a couple visits. There were definitely
Okay.
other schools in the mix, but when I visited Carolina, I was like, this place feels like home. Like the people, the team culture, again, that I could get into the MBA school, the business school there was a big deciding factor for sure too. But it felt like home. And I mean, everyone, it's a great place to play with everything that Michael Jordan's done for the school and all of that. So just it's such a basketball school that it's somewhere that if you play basketball, you want to be there.
Yeah. And well, what was the experience like, the 2 years at Tar Heels? How did it
Yeah,
feel? Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. The atmosphere there was awesome. The team chemistry was amazing, and it was challenging though too, being in a master's program, like doing all of that school on top of playing basketball. There's not a lot of free time in your day, so learning to manage all of that was challenging at first, but definitely got better. But I loved my time there, and I'm super grateful for the experience.
Okay. So from an educational standpoint, the master's program was actually more taxing than the BA program?
Yeah, it was much more taxing than my
Okay.
bachelor's degree. Yeah.
Interesting, because in Poland it's usually the other way around.
Oh,
That's like the
really?
BA. Yeah, yeah. Usually like because I'm an academic teacher and like the first year students have it the hardest, like first year BA students. But
Hmm.
then it gets easier. So it's not the same there. Okay, okay. understandable. And one of the things that stands out when looking at your stats is the 40% 3-point shooting as a super senior, because you've decided to pick that extra year, right?
Mhm.
Get that extra year or benefit from it, whatever. So, what contributed to that sort of increased level of accuracy from behind the 3-point line?
Yeah, I think that my first year at Carolina was an adjustment period because you're used to all the little things like the way the offenses ran, coaches' expectations, offensively, defensively, all of it. So I think I just had a little adjustment period in there, but I feel like I am capable of shooting it at 40% from three in general. So I was happy that last year that I was able to do that. And personnel wise, it made it a little bit easier the second year because we had more people that were better 3-point shooters on the team too. So yeah, I think it was a combination of a lot of things.
Okay, okay. Because so now I'd like to for us to return to the to my initial question about your Polish heritage and the fact that you will be playing in a country that's sort of spiritually and historically linked with Poland. I don't know if you're familiar with like the common story between the two countries. Not really?
No, I'm not.
There's this idea of like brotherhood between the country that you're going to play in and Poland. And I want to ask you, well, what country am I talking about? And why did you pick this particular country?
Yeah, you're talking about Hungary.
Okay.
And I picked the country because the team had everything that I was looking for. Um, they had a need that I could fill offensively and defensively, and I wanted a team that knew that I cared about defense and that was looking for a guard that can defend the other team's best guard as well. They've experienced success and they just continue to get better. And I had a bunch of conversations with the head coach, and he's someone that I would want to play for.
Okay. And when did you decide to actually go pro? Since I mean you have an MBA, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you can do well things that are more financially beneficial than actually being a pro basketball player. Let's not kid ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So why did you decide to continue your basketball career instead of getting into business?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to be a pro, and like my body is still feeling great. I got quite a few years left of basketball in me probably, and I'm just not ready to be done playing. So I don't know how long exactly it'll be, but I'm gonna play for as long as I physically can and as long as I want to. So I've always had dreams of being a pro, and it was just the next step for me.
Awesome. And well, just to finish up, that's my wish to you to just continue playing for as long as you want to and your body allows you to. So thank you, Lexi, for finding the time and thanks for the talk.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.